Cause we way too high for you. Tripping like we got too much on. But they got love for us. Cause we staying all night long. Yo, when we walk in the club, you better believe we know what's up. Got these girls all in a trance. Throwing bands and then the dance.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to another rendition of the Bros and Berg podcast. My name is Ryan Doyle, co-host on this show. I'm joined by my other co-host in backwards hat, Robbie Bergstone, and the gentleman with the bare room who just moved into his new house in college for his final year, the executive producer, Mr. Connor Doyle.
That's me.
He's
That's
almost
him.
an adult. He's almost there.
No.
You know, the government qualifies him as an adult. But,
That's a good
I don't
point.
think we do on this podcast.
Definitely not.
Well, we appreciate you guys joining us wherever you like watching your podcast, listening to your podcast on YouTube, Spotify. Appreciate any and all traffic we get there. Gentlemen, we're coming up on one of the best weekends in North American sports. How are we feeling?
Glad to be back. This is now the third football season that we will cover at some point on this podcast because we started at the end of the 2021 season, if I'm not mistaken. We got to cover the NFL playoffs. So that's our second full year of covering football. We learned some mistakes from last year. By mistakes, I mean we probably missed all of our predictions from last year, and we'll continue to do so moving forward.
Correct.
But I'm just happy the football is back, man. It's really just
I don't know who gave me a platform to predict games and final season predictions, but you legitimately should fade me every pick,
every single time.
For the gentlemen out there that listen to this podcast, I hope you've talked to your wives, to your girlfriends, to your significant others, and have informed them of the coming months and how you will be unavailable every weekend for the foreseeable future.
I have to
negotiate for this current weekend to get some shopping in before the football games. So that we're already working on it.
The ass dent in my couch has lost a little bit of shape. We need to get that back
Correct.
in season form.
Absolutely.
Just needed to caress me like he used to. You know what I'm saying?
Thankfully, Kylie is she's all about like pro football. So she's like, she will never interrupt me for like Bama games. Like as long as we always watch the Bengals games, I'm like, I can do that. That's
real.
That's free.
So it's like your second team, anyways. I mean, you were going to watch that anyways.
Yeah. No, I am a Bengals fan.
Yeah.
Does that mean
like
you only have
Robbie's
to
a
argue
Colts
about
fan.
watching? Yeah, my beloved Colts. But that also just means that you only have to argue about watching football half of the weekend versus the whole weekend.
Correct.
Like the rest of us.
Yeah. So, Rob, you looking forward to that? You looking forward to the negotiations?
You know, I think negotiations got off to a good start this weekend, so I just anticipate that continuing on through the year. I think we'll be all right.
You think you're going to
There's
sign
nothing better to do on a Sunday. Like, you know, Sundays are like Saturdays. You go out and do things. People like to have events on Saturdays. Sunday's for watching NFL. It's for turning on Red Zone and watching that
Scott
for
Hansen.
way too long. Yeah, I'm gonna watch. Scott
Unless
Hansen.
you were a Panthers fan last year, and then you simply did not want to watch the games.
No. See, you watch Red Zone because the Panthers aren't on Red Zone because they're not scoring, so I don't have to see them.
Shout out Scott Hansen for Gold Zone because he was also excellent on Gold Zone. During the Olympics.
Very good on Gold Zone.
So
I hate that man more money.
They only scored 21 touchdowns all of last year, so they were not on Red Zone a whole lot, which is not a bad thing.
Terrible.
It's really bad.
Real bad.
Someone was projecting which players will score more by themselves this year, more touchdowns by themselves this year than the Panthers as a team last year.
A lot of quarterbacks.
It's going to be a fairly long list. Yeah,
a lot of quarterbacks. That's crazy.
Didn't Raheem Mostert score fucking more than the Panthers last year? I mean, he was averaging like a touchdown and a half a game.
That would be embarrassing. Speaking of Raheem Mostert, thank you, Ryan, for giving me that transition. We are going to start out with the NFL. Just fair warning, if you are not a football fan, I would not tune into this episode because it is strictly NFL and college football in honor of this upcoming weekend. And so we're going to kick it off with the NFL, and our main event is going to be college football and CFP predictions, which I know some of y'all have been waiting for with bated breath, especially with the expanded 12-team playoff that is occurring this year. We're going to start with the NFL. Ryan, Robbie, and I are in fantasy leagues together. And we are going to discuss some players that we think are going to be booms this year, that are going to outperform their average draft position or their typical production. And we're going to talk about players that we think may be busts in the NFL this year from a fantasy perspective.
And the good thing is we've already had all of our drafts together, so we can't snipe anyone's picks now. We've already
This
gone
is a
through
good point.
that, so it's good
Correct.
timing for us to do this.
This is a very good point.
Because Ryan and I have two more drafts together, but there's so many other people in there. It'll be all right.
I got you, gentlemen.
Let's also like make sure that we're all on the same. Like this is going to be PPR. Let's call it like a 10-team draft. Because super flex, half PPR can really throw off like how people are valued in their ADPs. We're just going to do one quarterback league, PPR, 10 to 12 teams. Yeah, go from there.
Does anybody have a player boom bust that they feel really strong about that they would like to?
Do we want to alternate, like go do booms, then busts, then booms, then busts kind of deal? Should we do it that way? Would that make sense, Connor?
What do you guys think? I feel like maybe do all of them at like all booms at once and all busts at once because it could get confusing if you kind of go back and forth. I think we start with busts and then we go to booms.
Yep.
Gentlemen, you mind if I have the floor first here on this
Please.
First bust?
Please feel free.
I'm going to go with somebody who is currently his average draft position is in the top 10. He is a running back. I'm going to go with Breece Hall of the New York Jets to be a bust.
All right, I want to hear why, because there are people making arguments that Breece should go like top 5 in PPR drafts. Like I've seen that argument a lot this offseason. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I've seen that a lot.
First of all, he's on the Jets. Already, we're starting out not good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Can't argue.
Yeah, come on.
Rodgers will get hurt at some point.
So yes, Breece was obviously excellent last year. Had a ton of work in his last game against New England. He had 37 freaking carries. So he's getting worked like a bell cow out of the backfield, and he also is good at receiving the ball. He's super young, and for the most part, except for that first season, he was completely healthy this last year. He finished number 2 in PPR. I think Breece Hall is going to be good. I don't think that Breece Hall is not going to be good, but I think you also have to look at the other factors. Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Garrett Wilson is also being projected to his ADP is also around 10. So you also have the other side of the ball. You have those guys. I think they're going to pass the ball a lot more with Aaron Rodgers. And yes, that could result in maybe Breece getting some more catches out of the backfield. But I just it's more of a gut feeling than I do necessarily have anything statistical. He's not going to be getting 40 carries anymore. Like that's just not going to happen with Aaron Rodgers being back, and I just don't see him replicating what he did in this past year. I don't see the Jets like. Go ahead.
The argument can be made that he doesn't need 40 carries this year.
Of course, yeah.
They don't have Zach Wilson at quarterbacks. They actually will be stretching the field theoretically, so he needs less touches to be more efficient. Can be the argument there. Is like yes, he won't see the ball as much, but they should be much more efficient touches versus going up against 7-8 man boxes all year like it was last year.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I still think he's going to be a solid fantasy option. I just don't think he should be going in that first round. So bust, like he's a relative bust. He's not like a complete bust, just in terms of where he's going right now in the draft.
Yeah. Ryan, you want me to go next?
Oh, you can go next.
I'll go to the wide receiver position. It's the guy who's probably going. I think I was just looking at his ADP. I think he's probably going around your 3rd round. So not super high draft capital, but I think there's better options there. And we saw him drop off a lot last year as the number 1 option at receiver for a playoff team. We saw him lose a step. We saw him do all those things, and he moved teams this offseason to a team that's much younger, has a lot of mouths to feed on offense. I think Stephon Diggs is not worth a 3rd round pick in the slightest this year. I think CJ already has that rapport built with Nico Collins, with Tank Dell. There's going to be Joe Mixon there too, which is another one that people are very mixed on how he's going to do this year. I just don't see Stephon Diggs returning 3rd round value this year, especially after we saw him lose a step last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from the Texans receiving core. It's kind of spooky
It's
to me
so busy. Now. It's just so busy.
Yep. 100%. All right, Ryan.
I think it's a good pick. For me, I'm actually going to go to the tight end position. And this one
they're all garbage. I have like 3 of them.
And this one is a sophomore, once again. Definitely a freshman darling that a lot of folks had. And in 12-team PPR, this man is going in the 2nd round. And that's Sam Laporta. I think there is just too much value to be had in the 2nd round overreaching for Sam Laporta. I mean, you have Amon-Ra, you have Jameson Williams who's going to step up, and like probably potentially the best two-headed running back with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Like there is a lot of mouths to feed on that Detroit offense.
He's very due for a touchdown progression as well.
Agree. I know Goff really liked him, but it's I already mentioned Mostert today. Same thing. Laporta is due for a touchdown regression. So I think he's great. I think he'll still definitely be a fringe top 5 tight end. I just think his second round is too high.
Yeah, and if you look at his game log this past year, like he's boom bust, boom bust, boom bust. So I could see that not being as consistent this year. And he was, I mean, obviously with Kelsey having injuries last year, Laporta did end up being the number one tight end this past year. But I'm inclined to agree with you, Ryan. I don't think he's worth where he's being taken.
I mean, he potentially had I'm going to say top 3 season for a rookie tight end fantasy wise of all time. I mean, he's just not going to repeat that again.
No, I agree. I'd rather have, and that's why in a lot of my drafts, I've been either scooping up Andrews in that 3rd round, or I'm waiting for Kittle down there somewhere, just because I'm like, God, they have pretty good value, where they're going.
I'm a little worried about Andrews. Apparently, Harbaugh has been saying Isaiah Likely has looked exceptional, and they're going to start mixing in a lot of 2 tight end. I think Andrews is still better, but I think Likely
it's Mark Andrews.
I get it. I also took Andrews on one of my leagues, but I'm just slightly. We can continue.
All right. So going to another bust of mine. Spoiler alert: all my busts are running backs that I have on my list.
The running back position is brutal this year.
Going back to the running backs, the man that is being, in terms of running backs, is being selected directly after Breece Hall. I think Saquon Barkley is going to be another relative bust this year. I would never wish this on anybody. I have a really bad gut feeling he's going to get injured this year. He's going to get a nasty injury this year, and I feel like he might go out.
He's not playing in MetLife anymore.
Yeah,
that's a good point. He's going to be on
grass. A field that is known for taking knees. I am the exact opposite of Saquon. I think he's actually going to bounce back really well, not get fucking hurt.
I mean, that's totally what I hope for him. I mean, I think he suffers from the same kind of perspective of there's so many mouths to feed on the offense between A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And I mean, Hurts is great. He runs the ball super, super well. I would also say, I mean, losing Jason Kelsey is a huge blow, regardless of, obviously you got Lane Johnson still there and you got some really good offensive linemen still there, but a center, that is a huge blow for an offense. And especially with guys that are familiar with that center, and then Saquon's being new, so maybe Saquon won't have as much of an adjustment period, but I could certainly see Hurts needing an adjustment period in the regular season, and that kind of throwing off their run game. I also don't think that Saquon's going to get a ton of receiving work out of the backfield. So yeah, I just think Saquon is going to be a relative bust in terms of where he's being taken.
I'll go for another running back. This guy really appeared out of nowhere last year a little bit on the Rams, and Sean McVay has done nothing but show us that as soon as someone starts not playing well or starts fumbling or whatever, they will get benched. He doesn't care what they did last year.
Rob.
And Kyron Williams does not provide anything to that offense that another running back could also provide.
Correct.
If he starts having bad games or he starts fumbling, he's not going to get to play anymore. He's going in the 2nd round.
He's going to get the Cam Akers treatment.
That was so bad.
I don't trust Sean McVay in running backs. I don't think Kyron Williams is anything overly special. I think he just has a good scheme around him because McVay is a very good offensive coach. I am not high on Kyron Williams at all.
And Blake Corum's right behind him.
Exactly.
And Blake, so that's
if
Kyron's going to be
out and
not
gets
great.
a fumble or 2 in the first few games. Blake Corum's in there like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I agree. Great. That was my other bust. Kyron Williams. Yeah. So there you go. Do we want to move on to booms at 2 each?
I get to second fucking bust?
Oh, I
Ryan
think
needs to
my
bust
bad. That's
again.
on me. That's on. Whoa. Whoa.
I was edging to release my next bust player. Come on.
All
right.
I'm going to go back to the well on the Eagles, and for a lot of reasons that Connor listed, Jalen Hurts going as the second quarterback.
I don't mind this take.
Yeah. He had 15 rushing touchdowns. How many of those were behind the tush push and Kelsey?
Damn, I didn't know he'd 15.
He's projected to be the 2nd highest scoring quarterback behind Josh Allen this year, being picked between 2nd and 4th quarterback off the board, depending on where you're getting your ADP.
I just can't get behind this trend of like drafting quarterbacks at the end of the second, into the third round, unless they have rushing upside. Like you see people take Mahomes there. Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. That doesn't mean he's the best fantasy asset you can have at quarterback. That distinction between him and the pack behind him in terms of fantasy points at times is not as large to me.
Yeah. I just think Hurts is also due for regression. Like you said, losing a Hall of Fame center for a quarterback is huge. I mean, that's like one of the biggest implications you could have, arguably even bigger than like moving to a different OC in a different system. So I'm really interested to see how the tush push looks, because the Eagles prolonged so many drives having that in their back pocket, converting that at 86%. Like, it's going to be really, really interesting. Their offensive line's still great. You got Lane Johnson on the left side, still like a good unit, but losing Kelsey is big for Hurts.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, you wanna swing it back around? You want to go with the booms?
Bring us the boom.
Let me throw it around.
Let me just swing it back. Throw it back.
I'm going back to the tight end position for a boom.
He loves the tight ends. He's all over.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, he does.
I'm gonna go for a team that lost a lot of receiving prowess, but this guy has shown great rapport with his quarterback, and that's Dalton Kincaid. I think Dalton Kincaid is going to get a lot of looks.
My only concern there is that Dawson Knox is still around.
He is still there. Yeah.
I agree.
He's shown us that he is a very good receiving tight end as well.
I definitely
think Kincaid
agree.
is better. I think Kincaid is better than Dawson Knox, but Dawson Knox has shown himself very serviceable catching the ball.
Yeah, Kincaid's around 5th to 6th round, value right now. If you look at like points, he's like projected 15 less points than Laporta, who's going in the second. Right? There's got to be a delta here. Either one's super overrated, one's really underrated, or something in between. I think Kincaid is really good value there for a system that lost some receiving prowess.
Yep.
All right, Rob, what you got?
I'm going to go to the running back position. And it's weird calling this guy a boom because when he's healthy, he is a top 5 running back in the league, and it's not super debatable. But Nick Chubb is going late in fantasy drafts. And I understand he's going to be out for 4, 5, 6 weeks. They're still kind of up in the air. He started getting back out on the field. He's doing some side-to-side work. And to me, like, we know that he's a physical freak of nature, and I am not concerned about him getting back from injury. When you get to the 8th round, you could potentially be drafting a running back that can win you your league. If you could just get to where Nick Chubb is back, all of a sudden you are better at the running back position than everyone else in your draft when Nick Chubb comes back. I think he's going way too late. I understand the injury. I understand we're worried about the knees and everything like that. But he is the best running back, one of the best running backs in the league going off the board in the 8th round. It's too late for me.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, 100%. Going to the quarterback position for a boom here, and this is mostly in terms of like I said, his average draft position. From the Green Bay Packers, I'm selecting Jordan Love to be a boom this year. He was able to develop this relationship with Jaden Reed this past year, with Christian Watson, with Romeo Doubs, and he has Josh Jacobs now in the backfield. He also was the number 5 quarterback last year and is going as the 80th overall pick. He is going at about the 10th quarterback, and he's a year older. Like, he's stayed with the same receiving core. And he has a better running back. Like, I don't understand why he is going so late in the draft. That doesn't make any sense. He's 25. He's only going to get better. Like, he's probably about to be in his prime. I just don't understand that at all, why Love is going so late.
I think people are still like out on him just because he didn't start off great last year. And to be fair, we were all Jordan Love haters last year.
Correct.
We were all wrong. He looked really good towards the end of the year.
Great.
I think people are still kind of like, is he going to be able to maintain that? They have a year of film on him now. You always worry about with the quarterback, that sophomore slump. I think a lot of people worry about the same thing with CJ Stroud. Second year full-time starting. Obviously, Jordan Love is not a sophomore in the league, but it's his second year starting.
Yeah.
And there's always that concern. I feel like is why he's going so late.
Yeah, but Stroud was 11 overall, and he's also like 3 years younger than him.
Yeah.
So, but he's going 5 quarterbacks before him.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that makes no sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. But so Jordan Love for a boom. Yeah. Am I going again, or is it Ryan again?
Back to Ryan.
You can do whatever.
Ryan, you got it.
In this one, I went back and forth on if, again, it all depends on being healthy. But I think Cooper Kupp can
Yes.
win you a league
Yep.
in the 5th round if
I
he
agree with
stays
this.
on the fucking field.
I
Matt
am
Stafford.
not fully.
Go ahead.
I said I'm not fully convinced that Puka Nacua outscores Cooper Kupp this year.
Bang.
I'm
Bang.
in the same boat.
Bang. What a take. I love that take.
You got Tyler Higbee starting half the year out.
Bum ass.
Nakua's already questionable. I think he's nursing some leg injury.
Mhm.
Kupp is finally healthy, coming back.
Kyron
When
Williams is
he
going to be a
played
bum.
full season, he was the number one receiver in the league.
I think this is a great take.
Stafford gets his guy and force feeds him. Yeah, McVay's going to abandon the run. Stafford's going to throw 55 times a game.
Yep.
So I'm noticing that we're all agreeing on a lot of these, and fellas, we're consistently at the bottom of all of our
which is really concerning.
So if you're listening to this, it's probably a good idea to fade us, to be honest.
Fade us, yeah. No, I like that. I think, especially at his value. Yes, he's a little old, but he probably has one or
31.
two.
He's Amari Cooper's age. Amari Cooper still gets fed and.
But for skill positions, that's old. But he's got like one or two probably years left at that level. But no, I think this year, 100%. I think he's good for this year.
I think he's absolutely good 5th round receiver, wide receiver 2 value. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm gonna go down to like round 9 or 10 here, guys.
Damn.
Okay.
This guy is the wide receiver 1 on his team, and he has suffered from the last 2 years from a syndrome I like to call Russ's washed syndrome. Courtland Sutton is a great wide receiver, and I am fully convinced he will be the best receiver there. And Bo Nix has looked extremely serviceable in preseason. Now it's preseason. I get that.
It's better than Russ was.
But I do think Bo Nix will be better than Russ. He'll be able to push the ball down the field where Russ wasn't able to do it last year. And looking at like the 9th or 10th round, I do think Courtland Sutton is a great value there because he is the best wide receiver on that team by a decent margin. I think right now the wide receiver 2 is Marvin Mims. We're like, he's fast, but he don't do a whole lot other than that. I think Courtland Sutton's a really good late round value as well.
So similar to Ryan here, I'm going to go with an old guy to have another kind of resurgence here. And he wasn't bad last year. He was actually pretty good last year. I'm going back to the running back position, and I'm going to Arizona, and I'm selecting James Conner to have a really good year.
That's a take
in Arizona's backfield.
This is the last year that James Conner will have a good year.
I don't disagree with that, but so some of the reasons for that, Kyler Murray's back. I think this might be even more of a take. I think Kyler Murray has a good year. I think Kyler Murray has a really good year actually, and Marvin Harrison was a phenomenal draft pick for the Cardinals, and I think they've gotten better. And obviously they lost Rondale Moore to injury, but they still have a relatively decent receiving core, especially with the tight end. I'm forgetting his name.
McBride.
Yes, McBride should be much better this year. He's had kind of a year under Ertz to develop. And so I think they're going to open up the field a lot more. And I think Conner gets, like we talked about kind of Saquon earlier, maybe with the efficient touches. Maybe it was Brees. But I think that James Conner gets the same thing. I think that he gets an appropriate amount of work. I think that they feed him in the red zone because Harrison is more of a deep threat as opposed to a red zone threat. And the way that I kind of view him, and I think that Conner gets a lot of red zone work, and I think he gets a lot of touchdowns this year. But Robbie, I don't disagree that I think this could be his last year, but I think he'll have a good year this year. So yeah,
I definitely think it's interesting that he's being picked around the same position as David Montgomery, who's in a split backfield, and he's like the second best running back in that backfield.
Yes.
Yeah. If Conner stays on the field, I think he's 100% going to score more fantasy points than David Montgomery. A lot of these guys are picking, can they stay healthy and stay on the field?
Like he's barely being picked ahead of Ramondre Stevenson. I just know,
like absolute trash can in New England.
Okay, well, I don't know about it, but
he's not a trash can, but that offense is
that offense is fast. Yeah. All right, awesome, nice. That was our fantasy boom and bust. Like we said, please fade us because we agreed far too much on all of those picks.
This will be clipped in a year from now.
Yeah, none of us are really good at fantasy, so.
We've got a quick NFL headline and then moving on to college football, what you all really came here for. The Dallas Cowboys and star wide receiver CeeDee Lamb have agreed to a 4-year, $136 million contract extension that includes a $38 million signing bonus, which is the largest ever given out to a wide receiver. Jerry Jones is a jackass, but this comes as no surprise because there's always one player during camp or right before like fantasy drafts, everyone freaks out about their contract stuff, and it works out every single time because the owners are like, well, yeah, we have to pay this guy. CeeDee Lamb is arguably the best receiver in the country. Jerry Jones, I'll reiterate, is a jackass.
Correct.
And so yeah.
But he got the deal
Non-shocker.
done. He got
Thank
the deal
God.
done. He's
Yeah.
staying around. And
yeah.
now you have to pay Dak, right?
Yikes. No. We're gonna start. I forgot.
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. Thank you.
He threw 5 picks in the last preseason
He was
game.
terrible.
If I'm not mistaken, he had the
yikes.
most passing yards in the preseason this year, though.
Yes, he also led the
I
Cowboys with rushing yards in the same game that he threw 5
Yikes.
picks. So I'm just going to throw the whole team away. Real quick, I also like to make some notes on notable cuts as the NFL is kind of trimming down 53-man rosters.
Today is cut day.
My favorite one so far, and there's probably a few more that will come across my desk as I read into this, but the Arizona Cardinals, not a team necessarily known for the quarterbacking prowess, has cut former Atlanta Falcons quarterback Desmond Ritter. Couldn't even make the 53-man.
I didn't even see that.
They traded for him, and he simply didn't make the roster. So,
Kadarius Toney cut by the Chiefs was another big one.
Yep.
I saw an article, his career isn't over for the playmaker. I'm like, he's not much of a playmaker. He can't really catch the ball.
And it's got bricks.
I don't really know how he's a playmaker, but
Also, I remember some folks who were some Allen Robinson truthers. Yeah, he just got cut by the Giants, who have potentially the worst receiving. They got slightly better neighbors. Last season, the worst receiving rooms in the league.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So yeah, definitely the Ritter one was like I just had
that's kind of wild.
To laugh.
Kind of wild.
I just saw one that I had not seen, and I'm confirming if it's true or not.
What is
the
it?
Browns kept 4 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. They have 4 QBs. Tyler Huntley, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jameis Winston, and Deshaun Watson all got kept.
Oh, never mind. I saw someone like them saying like, where should Ryan Tannehill go next? I'm like, did they cut Ryan Tannehill? I mean, not that he's gonna play this year, but still. But they know they're just. Or is he still a free agent?
I have no idea. The Browns released Deontay Foreman, so there's only 2 running backs on the initial 53-man roster for the Browns. Jerome Ford has been eating
for real. Yeah.
All right. Moving to actually, we have a quick game, and then we're going to move to college football. But the quick game does involve college football. It is blind rankings, gentlemen, and I have provided each of you. I'll say it off the bat. This is all-time college quarterbacks.
That's gonna be my question, Ken.
Yeah. And so I'm going to give 5 to Robbie. You're just going to do your list, and then 5 to Ryan. He's going to do his list. So Robbie, we'll start with you. You're ranking these in terms of their collegiate career.
College career.
That's it. Their collegiate career. Nothing to do with the
Ryan
pros.
Lead.
Number 1, Robbie, Johnny Manziel. This is 5. You have 5.
God damn it! You really would start like that.
Here's the thing. There's not been a lot of better college quarterbacks than Johnny Manziel. Johnny Football, if you're going by his given name. I think there's guys out there that are better, but I put Manziel at 2. Like I just remember like Manziel captivated all of American sports for the years he's at A&M. And like obviously he didn't pan out after that, but he's a great college quarterback.
And not all to his fault, some to his fault, but the Browns were dumpster fire of an organization at that time. Right. Still are. Your second name, Lamar Jackson.
Another great college quarterback. It's tough. I mean, we're already at 2 Heisman Trophy winners right off the bat, which makes this extremely difficult. I would put Lamar just behind Manziel, so I'm going to put Lamar at 3.
Okay. Baker Mayfield.
Another great college quarterback, but to me, not quite on the level of Manziel or Lamar.
Yeah.
Let's go 4.
Case Keenum.
I mean, underrated college career. Let's be clear.
Correct.
Case Keenum could sling that thing.
For real.
But all of these other guys have a Heisman Trophy, and Case Keenum does not. Therefore, he's going at 5.
I think you're going to be happy, Robbie, because your last number 1 is Tim Tebow at number 1.
Whoa! I just,
that's pretty good ranking right there.
Connor like a book.
Dude, I think I would put Manziel over Tebow.
Whoa!
I would put Tebow higher.
What was that
close.
take?
It's close, but it was
Dude, Johnny Football was
take.
something. Johnny Football had a way worse team than Tebow.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Let's just put that out there.
That is fair. That is fair.
All right, Ryan, you ready for your 5?
Yeah.
Remember your first name, Vince Young.
Fuck. Oh,
That guy was pretty
man.
good.
He was pretty good. I think I'm going to put him at 3.
Whoa.
I
Ryan's
think I'm going to
takes are
put Vince
crazy.
Young. I think
that is higher than I would have put him.
Wow.
yeah, I think
Whoa.
that's a little higher. I think
Vince
he's a
Young,
3.
He had,
Like-
I mean, his one season was fantastic, but like
Right.
never won a Heisman.
True.
Like
Yeah.
That's
he
true.
had a great season, won the BCS National Championship, but like that was the year and that was it.
And then he was
I mean, he was
doo-doo
great.
balls in the pros.
Yeah, was he even doo-doo
He-
balls better?
He had one like decent year. Didn't he win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
He was on a Madden cover, so he must have
think
had
he
one
won-
good
I think
year.
he won
yeah.
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
You're
Actually,
probably right.
Yeah.
And then he was doo-doo balls after that.
Yeah,
All right,
correct.
your second name, Matt Leinart.
Leinart,
Leinart.
Heisman winner.
Heisman winner. Lost to the previous quarterback in the national championship
It
game,
was
though.
just, I
But-
think because of that, Leinart goes at 4.
But
Wow.
he did win a national championship the 2 years prior.
I think Leinart goes at 4.
All right.
I'm not thrilled about what's happening.
Joe Burrow. Was he good or was his team?
He
just
had
that
a
effing
phenomenal. I
Yeah.
mean, that LSU team, that 2019 LSU team is like one of the best college teams of all time.
good? Having Justin
It's
Jefferson
statistically-
and Jamar Chase on the same team
Correct.
is
but
obscene.
Joe Burrow had
Fucking
statistically like
go.
the best year of any quarterback.
No, he
in
was-
college
he was
football
great,
ever.
yeah.
And yes, and he was helped by those literally S tier receivers. Like
Mhm.
obviously, they're two of the top 3 receivers in the league right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Top four,
maybe
top
1
four,
and
yeah,
2.
maybe.
Like, I think he goes at 2 just because of that magical season where he was also helped out a lot, but
Mhm. Marcus Mariota.
5. Disrespectful. I know it's
A little
harsh, but 5.
Number 1, you have Jameis Winston.
Hey,
Bucket.
eating the W's, eating them.
I don't love it. I think there's some
Yeah.
shuffling that potentially go around. I think Mariota
Yeah.
at 5 is probably my favorite.
I didn't
don't know.
expect you to put Vince at 3. I thought
I
he
would've
might
put
go at
Vince at
2.
4.
So yeah,
Oh,
well,
I
I
would
would
put
have put. I
Vince
thought
at
he would have
five.
gone
Go for
2,
4.
but I don't
Go
know.
for
Yeah, I
4.
know it's an interesting one.
Vince ain't 2.
No, that wasn't a bad ranking at all. I think Robbie had probably better guys overall than
Correct.
yours, but yeah,
For sure.
We're going to get into college football, and we're going to get into modern day college football. Let's talk about week 0 real quick, gentlemen. There were 4 games that occurred, and the most notable one. And I wish we did the podcast the week before, because Gabe and I both predicted it. We both predicted Florida State losing to Georgia Tech in Ireland,
It was
24-21.
It was not surprising. To say
No,
the
it
least.
wasn't.
Moke
was-
that Knowles
and they're-
pack, baby.
And they're number 10. They're number
is
10 in the
just-
country.
Bro, DJU starting a quarterback. Why are they number 10? Like
Dude,
that's
he
just
was-
dumb.
He was not.
That man
good.
has been overrated for years at this
He had
point. It's
one-
actually
he had one-
fucking crazy.
He had one good game at Notre Dame, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's the next Trevor Lawrence,"
Yeah, literally.
and then he's done nothing since then.
Dude,
DJ
can we-
trick y'all,
Fuck
man.
and all. Yeah,
Okay, like, even
he's
at
just
like,
out there running around.
because Florida State didn't play terrible, they didn't play great, but can we give some props to one Georgia Tech's O-line and running game? Because holy crap, they made Florida State look like they weren't an ACC team. It was just like, it was unreal how well they were running the ball.
And the ACC is open this year. Like I don't.
It's-
think
it's
you
spooky.
look at
White
the
ass
ACC
open.
and you're like,
Yeah.
"This is the best team in the ACC." And like
Correct.
with the expanded playoff, if you win the ACC, you're probably in the college football playoff. I mean, it would take some really weird shit going on for you to not
I would have.
make
You
it.
have
So,
to be. Aren't you auto qualified if
yeah,
you're
auto
It's,
qualify.
it's the top 5 ranked conference champions, regardless of if it's Power 5 or G5. So if you have a couple undefeated G5 teams
Ooh,
win
I
their
don't think I knew
conference
that.
championship,
I forgot about that. You're right.
theoretically one of the
You're
Power
right.
4 could get left out.
Which would be
Yeah,
wild.
they're
That
not.
would
They're
be
just not
crazy.
going to do that after FSU
Correct.
getting fucked
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
last year. They're just not going to do that. So
Um,
we'll give one man props on the Florida State Seminoles. Ryan Fitzgerald, the place kicker for Florida State, that fucker can kick.
yeah, 100%.
59-yarder in like foreign country,
was
first
a
game of the
boot.
season.
Raining, and it was
Dude
pouring.
Drilled that shit. That's
Yeah.
an NFL leg there for sure. So shout out to
Yep.
him.
Also got to give props to the Georgia Tech kicker. He missed one earlier and then came out and drilled the dagger for the win. So shout out to the kickers of the game.
No one's gonna draft a Florida State kicker anymore after Aguero. Remember, like the kicker
he
that went,
was
like,
he was
third or
supposed to
fourth
be like
round?
the best kicker of all time.
Yep.
All right. So 3 other games happened this day. They were a lot closer than I think anyone anticipated because the lines were pretty huge. But Montana State beat New Mexico 35-31,
which is funny because they're an FCS team against an FBS team, but they were favored by more than 4.
Yeah.
Mexico actually covered.
SMU fans are a little spooked after barely beating Nevada 29-24, especially after thinking they might compete in their conference, which I don't know if you feel that way anymore after that performance. Yep, right there. Robbie's pointing.
I can
to
point
it.
them all out on my map as we go along.
And then Hawaii beating Delaware State 35-14.
An absolute sicko travel game.
Yeah.
Delaware State to Hawaii is nuts.
Yeah,
what a sick vacation for those guys, though.
Yeah, for real.
Like, right? Like, I'd be stoked. I don't care if we get blown out. I get to go to Hawaii for a couple of days.
There's
something about it was up in the air if they were going to make it for the game or not. There's something about like they're taking the bus
Yes,
from
I heard about
Delaware
this.
to one of the airports, I think, in New York.
Yeah.
And like their bus broke down or didn't show up or something. They didn't know when they were going to get to Hawaii, if they're going to make it in time. But clearly they did. So
yeah, so that was week 0, and ladies and gentlemen, we are going to predict Robbie. Robbie does it every year, and he's back once again. He's provided us a slate of games to pick for this upcoming weekend, which is week 1 officially of college football. Robbie, how many games do you have for us today?
I have 5, just like
5.
we do it every time, Connor. I do have our standings from last year. I have no idea how updated they are, but I do have to read through them because I won. So as of the most last update that I made, I don't know when I made this update. I might have missed a couple weeks. Ryan was 23-22,
over 500.
Connor was 26-19.
Let's go, baby! It's pretty solid.
I was 30-15.
Damn.
So I got a lot to live up to this year.
For real.
We'll see what happens.
We'll just restart the count this year.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
So there are 3 games between ranked teams this weekend, where both teams are ranked, and then I have 2 other ones as well in there. So first one, we have the Georgia Bulldogs playing the Clemson Tigers in Atlanta, which is theoretically a home game for Georgia, but Clemson is very close to Atlanta still as well.
May I go first?
Absolutely.
Clemson are a bunch of bums.
Yeah.
Clemson is fraudulent. The Tigers are not good at football. Dabo Sweeney has his head up his ass. He doesn't believe in transfers. That doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? Georgia is the team to beat this year, especially in the SEC. They're at home. There is no way in a million years that Clemson is going to come into Athens and beat them. And I'm going to get clipped.
It's in Atlanta.
Or excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, I misspoke. Regardless, I don't care. I don't care where they are. They could be in Tokyo. Georgia is beating Clemson.
It's on site.
Did you see Kirby's quote earlier this week? They were asking him, I was like, oh, like, you're playing Clemson, like, close to a draftable rival, big recruiting rival. And he's like, wait, I don't see Clemson out on the recruiting trail. Like, we don't see them. I was like,
yes.
Damn,
Correct.
Kirby?
Yeah. So, yeah, give me Georgia.
Yeah, it's Georgia in a romp.
Georgia covering. They cover 13.5.
And
13.5 is hysterical.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Especially after what we've seen Georgia do to teams in the first game of the year the last few years. Remember what they did to Oregon not too long ago?
Yeah, that was so
remember
bad.
That? Remember that?
I do remember.
It's happening again on Saturday. It's Georgia is not close.
Yep.
Coaches from the Saban system have their teams ready to play week. And Kirby is going to have those boys ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's Georgia by at least 17.
And keep in mind, this is somewhat of a rivalry game. They stopped playing it for a little bit. Like, this has been a rather long running, not in terms of how close it was, but this has been a long running rivalry in terms of games played. They'll be fired up. This is not going to be one that Georgia's sleepwalking into by any stretch of the imagination.
Boot and an ant. It's just not happening.
Next up, we have a battle for Florida. The Miami Hurricanes visiting the Florida Gators in Gainesville.
Who wants to go first?
Miami's only favored by 2.5. This is a bit of a spooky game. I think it really does come down to, do you actually believe Miami is worth a shit this year? Because there was the whole talk about last year they were going to be good, potentially run the ACC. I'm picking the Gators, man.
Love that
I'm
pick.
picking the Gators.
I love that pick.
Wow. I have no faith in that coach. They lost to fucking UT Martin.
Mario Cristobal is a
trick,
fraud.
y'all.
He is a fraud, and you are gonna keep getting sucked in by him being able to recruit, and it's not gonna matter. He is a fraud.
Can't coach.
I'm not saying Billy Napier is much better. I'm not convinced that Billy Napier is the answer to Florida either. However, Mario Cristobal is a fraud, and Florida will win this game at home.
Miami has an absolute sleepwalk schedule this year. This is like one of the only difficult games between them and then Florida State. Currently, they have no other ranked team on their schedule. They're going to get boat raced.
This game is also in the swamp. Like, it's going to be fired up. This is the first time Miami's been in the swamp in I don't even know how long. Like, it's going to be rocking.
And the fact that the Canes are favored is silly to me.
Give me
Don't do that.
Give me my prediction for the ACC Conference Champions, the Miami Hurricanes, winning this game in Florida. You can boo me all you want. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
Bad take.
Miami's winning.
Miami's winning. The only saving grace they have is because of how fucking easy their schedule is. That's
correct.
It.
Also,
correct.
I do think Cam Ward is a good quarterback. I will say I do have a lot of respect for Cam Ward, who's there now, was at Washington State. It don't matter. The rest of the team's fucking garbage. So
give me Miami. I'm taking Miami. I don't care. That's the team. Don't do the Gator chomp.
All right, next up, Notre Dame visiting Texas A&M in College Station. Got number 7 at number 20.
I would like a meteor to hit the stadium.
Correct. If both teams could lose, that'd be awesome.
These teams. Well, first of all, I think we can agree that these two teams are the epitome of losing Week 1 games. Like A&M and Notre Dame. Like
you could just say they're both the epitome of being disappointments, because that would also hold up.
Yeah. Who? I guess I'll go. Another one where I'm going with the away team, and number 7 is a bit of a high rating. But I have faith because I just don't have any faith in the Aggies. And for some reason, I have more faith in the Fighting Irish, similar to Miami, besides like this one game and maybe one other, have a crazy easy schedule this year. Notre Dame, I do think, does take care of business at A&M, and I do think they pull it out here.
Connor, let's think back to the last few times Notre Dame's played an SEC team and think about how that's gone.
We just don't need to do that though.
But let's think about it. Let's think about it. It don't go well, and here's why. Notre Dame does not recruit the athletes needed to beat SEC competition. They just don't.
Why do they keep getting ranked in the top 10?
I again have no faith. Yeah, this is actually a good question. Side tangent. So now that Texas is like kind of back since they made the college football playoff last year, who's the team that we're always like they're back this year who's never actually back? I think it's Miami personally. But
Oregon?
I think
Oregon's back because Oregon's always like decently good. Like they've never been bad and then gotten good.
Miami is a good take. That's a good take.
Yeah. I got the Ags at home. I'm gonna go with the home team again. I just don't have much faith in Notre Dame going down there and doing it.
Right.
Yeah, I also just don't believe in Notre Dame. Once again, I simply don't believe it. I think I got to go with the Aggies. I got to go with the SEC. Vegas has them favored by 3. I guess they're at home, so it's a pick 'em. But I think Kyle Field, 12th man, gives them the win.
If I keep picking Notre Dame, they have to win eventually, right? Because I picked them, but eventually, right? It just has to happen statistically.
You would think.
I do be a Notre Dame meat writer, and so I need them to win a game. Please,
someone,
please. Yeah.
Anybody.
All right. The last ranked matchup of the weekend, we have LSU facing off against the USC Trojans in Las Vegas. So pretty much a neutral site, definitely closer to USC, a little bit closer to them for a home game.
Mm-hmm.
I can go first here. I've already picked 2 SEC teams. I can't bring myself to do it a third time.
Wow.
And I got a name for you guys. I got a name for you. His name is Miller Moss, and he's the starting quarterback for the USC Trojans this year. Now, you're thinking to yourself, right? Caleb Williams couldn't do anything with these bums last year. So why in the hell is Miller Moss going to be able to do anything with these bums this year? He is going to play within Lincoln Riley's system. Caleb Williams' problem is that Caleb Williams plays the Caleb Williams system. He doesn't buy into anything. He tries to extend plays that he shouldn't, and he's a great quarterback. But Miller Moss is going to play within the system, and he's going to have a really good year. I think USC beats LSU in Las Vegas.
Ryan?
I hate it, but I think I actually got to go with Robbie on this one as well.
What's
I
going
just don't know if I believe in LSU. I just don't.
Kelly he's not a Cajun. No matter how much he tries to be, he's not one.
Vegas,
Brian Kelly, my apologies.
The Cajuns are just not going to know how to act in Las Vegas. That's a foreign area for them. They might not travel well. It's too dry out there.
They're going to be hungover. They're going to be hungover. They're not going to be
hungover. USC, that's an easy drive.
That's up for the gambling that they did. It's going to be a mess.
USC, that's a 4-hour drive in. I mean, they're going to travel well. I think the Trojans take this.
With what defense?
They got rid of him. He's gone. They hired a bunch of the Rams defensive coaches. Actually, I think their defense is going to be much improved this year. Aaron Donald's been out there at practice helping him out. Fun fact.
Shout out Aaron Donald. He's a good guy.
Fact.
I don't see how USC pulls this out. I mean, I agree. I think he's going to be a good solid quarterback. It's LSU. Like it's the SEC. It's they're in USC. You're in the big leagues now, and I don't think they're going to hang. I don't think they're going to be able to hang.
Pac-12 like that after they had their best year in how long last year?
100%. Yeah, but let's talk about like the defense from the Pac-12. Also, USC losing 3 of their last 4 games between Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. So let's chill on even with, like you said, Caleb Williams. I'm going with the Tigers. I've disagreed with you guys on 3. This is wild. I'm kind of going chalk though, so maybe that's on me.
In our last game here, probably not one you had on your radar, but I think it's a great group of 5 matchup actually occurring on Thursday night. So I'm glad we're recording tonight before the game starts. Coastal Carolina visiting Jacksonville State in Jacksonville, Alabama. A great group of 5 matchup if you want to watch some sickos G5 football.
Robbie, what do you think here?
I'm gonna take the Chanticleers. No, Jacksonville State just moved up to FBS recently. Coastal Carolina has had a couple really good seasons. It'll be a tough environment up there in Jacksonville, but I do think Coastal Carolina gets it done.
Yeah. I have to agree. The being at the FBS level for a little bit longer, being able to recruit a little bit better, just been exposed to that level of competition, I think that definitely goes in their favor.
I would also actually have to agree. Exactly to your point. Not much else to say around that. Coastal Carolina's been solid recently.
But if you're bored on Thursday night, this can be a great game. So definitely tune in.
Sure.
Check it out. It's gonna be some good football.
Well, Jacksonville State's favored by 2.5 currently. So technically we're going against the.
But home field advantage gives you 3 points. There's really a pick 'em on a neutral field.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point. All right, Robbie, thank you for compiling those games for us. We're going to keep track of those stats and our picks throughout the season.
Yes.
So let's get into our CFP college football playoff predictions. We're kind of going to combine the two of these things in terms of the conference champions and the CFP. At least in my book, in my CFP, I have all my big 4 conference champ or power 4 conference champs going to the CFP because, to Ryan's point, I don't think there's any way in hell the committee leave out a power 4 champ because they would get crucified.
Correct.
Especially after last year's stuff with Florida State. How do we want to do this, gentlemen? Do we want to eat us individually just want to go down our list, or what do we want to do here?
I think we do like by conference, like power 4 conferences, and then we could talk at large in order. Pick your favorite at large. I think kind of go down the list of like top 4 at large teams.
Yeah. Well, I've got 12 here, so we can talk about it. Let's go to the SEC first. Obviously, the powerhouse of the country, especially of the Power 4 and of the playoff. Currently, the line for the SEC in terms of the number of teams that should make the playoff is 4.5, which is crazy with a 12-team playoff. So with the SEC and my conference champ prediction for the SEC, and obviously getting a bye round in the first week of the CFP, I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs to have that spot there.
If Georgia doesn't make the playoff this year, that'd be the biggest upset
it would be
in sports history. I mean, just frankly, to be honest, they're going to be really good. Even if they don't win the SEC, there's no way they're not in the top 12. Georgia's going to be there. I feel pretty confident that I think they're going to win the SEC. I'd be pretty surprised otherwise. If I was betting Georgia against the field in the SEC, I would take Georgia.
Yeah, I would agree. Ryan, you the same?
Yeah. Georgia doesn't have an easy schedule by any means this year.
No.
It's the toughest one they've had in a while.
Yeah.
Correct. So, I mean, I would be surprised if they run the table at 12-0. I think that's unlikely, especially with Texas coming over. There's opportunities for them to lose games and improve South Carolina.
Are they at Alabama and at Texas? Am I right about that? I think
I believe so.
That's tough.
That's hard.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a tough schedule.
It's spooky for sure.
Yeah. 100%.
So, like I said, I'd be surprised if they run the table. But Alabama also has like a tough schedule this year. Texas has a tough schedule. Like everyone's finally like really playing some good games. I would have to go Georgia and play. I get a little bit of a homer if I don't.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the Big Ten champs. I've been seeing a lot of love for different teams. There's one team that I've seen the most love for, and I'm not gonna go with them. So this is me personally. I believe they're going to be the Big Ten champions, and I believe they're going to get a bid into the bye week teams of the CFP. I'm going to go with Ohio State University as my Big Ten champion.
I think the only team that you could argue has a chance to win the Big Ten outside of Ohio State is the Oregon Ducks.
Correct.
I don't see Michigan doing it this year. Penn State's going to have another year where they're close but not quite.
Yep, always.
I just don't see enough talent in the Big Ten outside of those two teams to win, and I do agree that it will be Ohio State. I think this is Ohio State's year. Ryan Day has to get it done this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he loses to Michigan again and goes 11-1, he's out.
But
he's gone.
Let's say he doesn't lose to Michigan, but maybe he loses a game and they don't win the national championship. Is he gone too?
No.
This is the most talented team he's had at Ohio State.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's gone. If that's the case, I don't.
Dude, being up here, man, it is so much
I think
win or done. It's crazy.
His seat is hotter than it should be. But I do think the seat is warm.
Yeah. Also, because to your point, Rob, everyone is on Oregon's meat. Can we stop slobbering on Dylan Gabriel? Like, what are we?
He was
relaxed.
bid at Oklahoma. He really wasn't
that's
anything
what I'm saying.
special.
Dude, we beat him. Oklahoma State beat him last year.
If he hadn't torn up his leg at UCF and was still the same player he was when he was there, different conversation. But he's not been quite the same player since that happened. Understandably.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't at all get it. All right, gentlemen, do we want to go to the Big 12 or we want to go to the ACC?
No, I really don't want to. No, I really have no interest in that. But yeah, we have to.
The Big 12 champions.
I got it right here.
You know me. I'm a realist. I'm a realist, and I tend to be a pessimist about my own team. But I'm going with the Oklahoma State Cowboys to be the Big 12 champs this year. I'm going with them. I think it happens.
Be a homer.
I think it. I'm so tired of the disrespect that we get on a national level, and yes, we play better with that national disrespect. Utah, fine. Cam Rising's great, and that whole team. Kansas State, dude, we have everybody and their mother returning back. Alan Bowman has another season to where he spent the starting quarterback the entire time. We have the best running back in the entire country. Our defense is pretty much entirely returners. We have one of the best O-lines in the Big 12. Our receiving core is great. Stop not putting us in the Big 12 championship discussion. I don't get it. Sorry.
I think you're not in the Big 12 championship discussion. I think you're ranked 3 going into this. But I think what you said is absolute fact. You have a Heisman favorite running behind 5 returning offensive linemen. When's the last time that fucking happened?
The best running back in the country.
Yeah.
He has expectations to have a Barry Sanders-esque season, and that just never fucking happens. So
we have three Rashad Owens, Brendan Presley are 2 phenomenal receivers, and Deshaun Stribling, who got hurt early last year, is also he came from Michigan State. He's also a really good receiver, and now that's a great receiving core, and our defense is all returners. Brock Martin, Colin Oliver, Corey Black. Dude, I'm so tired. All right, what are you guys saying for Big 12?
I got one, and you're not gonna like it.
It's fucking.
You better not be snapping my pick here. There better not be.
I love the
folks. Be upset.
But brother, I think K-State walks away with it. I think K-State, based on their schedule, they host the Pokes, they host their rivals.
They do.
They host Arizona State. They host Arizona. All their toughest games they have at home. And Manhattan's kind of a spooky place to play.
Yeah, I'm going to be going to that game.
I think K-State can definitely get it done in a conference that I think the conference winner probably loses 2 games.
Yeah,
I think it's a very competitive, close conference. I think the best team goes 10-2, and I think K-State absolutely has the schedule and ability to go 10-2.
Right, Ryan, you mentioned the Jayhawks, and you mentioned they have to go to Manhattan for a further game against K-State. Let me tell you that is the toughest game on the Kansas Jayhawks schedule this year.
You are not taking Kansas.
That is the toughest game on their schedule this year.
Oh,
Jalen
no.
Daniels is back. He has been electric when healthy. If that man can stay healthy this year,
when healthy,
Kansas can absolutely win the Big 12 this year. And I got to be a little different. I'm going to stay in the Sunflower State. I'm going to take the Kansas Jayhawks. As much as it kind of pains me, to be honest. Like, that hurts. But
Rob, you and I are in our bag.
Be really good this year. I really do. They bring back a lot. If Jalen Daniels can stay healthy, there's no reason Kansas can't win the Big 12. There's none.
This is going to be the most irresponsible thing I've said on this podcast, but I've made this prediction, and I made this prediction to all my friends around me. Ryan and I grew up together. I think Ryan would let you know that, especially as it relates to Oklahoma State sports, I tend to be a bit of a realist / pessimist. I would say I would lean to the pessimist side of Oklahoma State sports. I'm always super conservative because they always break our hearts. This is a crazy take. I think Oklahoma State loses 1 game. I think they lose to Utah when Utah comes to visit in Boone Pickens, and I think we lose in the first round of the CFP. I think that's what happens. I think we win the Big 12 championship.
Who do you play in the Big 12 championship to win it? Utah again?
Utah comes back and we beat them the second time, and then we lose in the first round of the CFP.
It's hard to beat a team twice.
I think that's what happens.
I think you'd rather lose to Utah the first time, knowing that you're going to get them again, because it's harder to beat the team the second time. You know what I'm saying?
That's what happens. I think that's what happens.
I just got the inside scoop.
That's what I'm saying. All right. Well, that was our first.
I will find it very interesting. You got 5 teams in the Big 12 that have less than like plus 1,000 odds to win. I mean, it's a fucking crapshoot down there.
It is.
So it'll be very interesting to watch.
All right, Jen's going to the ACC. I think we have some disagreements.
Do I have to pick someone? Like,
I don't want to. Yeah, this is bad.
Dumpster fire. Absolute fucking trash can.
Here's my thing about, we were talking about that, they won't leave out a Power 4 team. I wouldn't be surprised the ACC champ has 3 losses. Like, I really wouldn't.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah. I think you're onto something. We'll let them cook. God, does somebody want to pick the trash can first? Like,
I don't want to make a pick.
I will, just because I previously announced it.
That's fair. You did.
I am taking the Miami Hurricanes to win, and I acknowledge it's kind of whack, but I have no faith in DJU and Florida State. I think Dabo has his head up his ass all the time. I don't see the positives out of this conference, and I think Miami is definitely a dark horse pick, but it's more fun than picking Florida State or Clemson. So I'm going to go with the Miami Hurricanes.
You mentioned Florida State.
Yep.
You mentioned Clemson.
Yep.
You're leaving a team that definitely has a shot here in a weak ACC. And that's a team that's starting off the season ranked.
Start with L?
Let's start with an L.
Wait, what was this team?
That's going to be the North Carolina State Wolfpack.
Okay, interesting.
Ryan, that's a fantastic pick, and that's exactly where I was going to go. And let me tell you why. College Football 25 loves the NC State Wolfpack.
Yes, they do.
Played a couple years.
They're an 88 overall. They're crazy.
They bring in a transfer from previously mentioned Coastal Carolina. Grayson McCall coming in, very experienced quarterback, can get it done. Bring back almost the entire defense in a wide open ACC. That's who I was going to pick too, right? I really think the Wolfpack can do it this year.
They have 2 games early in the season.
Yeah.
They host Tennessee and they go to Clemson. If they can go 3-1 through that, the rest of their schedule is fucking cheeks.
Yeah.
I think that's a totally fine take. I think that's a good take. I would support that. I think Miami's just kind of fun. So I was like, all right.
My top 4 seeds are really Georgia, Ohio State, Kansas, and NC State.
Yikes.
It's a little bit out of pocket, but we'll see what happens.
And I will say, going again by odds, the ACC has 6 teams that have like 1,000 or better chances to win.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So, again, just a fucking crapshoot.
All right, gents. Let's get into some of the. Well, actually, do we want to do Group 5 or do we want to do at-large bids? I have a Group 5
I think
team.
we should go Group of 5. I think we should go Group of 5.
Would you like to hear my Group 5 team?
Yes.
Throughout the years, we've loved watching them, and I've never seen them play not a night game on a blue-ass field. I'm going with Boise State. I'm seeing a lot of love for Boise State, and I think it's a lot of appropriate love for Boise State. I mean, I've also seen Memphis has also been kind of in that conversation. I think Boise State has always been one of those teams that has been able to typically hang with the Power 5 teams in any capacity. And I think they look even stronger this year. I'm going with Boise State.
If there's a Group of 5 team that deserves to make the playoff this year after everything they've been through as a Group of 5 team, through the BCS, through the college football playoff, it's Boise State.
Yeah.
And I think they know that. And I agree with you, Connor. I think they will be the ones to represent the Group of 5 in the first playoff. Will probably be the only team in the Group of 5 in the playoff.
Correct. I agree.
But I think it's their time. I think they're good enough this year to get it done.
Absolutely.
And do you really want to go play them in Boise?
Dude, it's spooky.
You really? Because I believe.
OSU almost lost to them like 2 years ago. Like it was spooky.
I think if they win, I think they get to host a game. I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
That'd
about
be badass.
that. I can't remember.
All right, Ryan. Would you agree with that Group of 5 assessment in Boise State, or you got another team in mind?
I think they're definitely the favorite. Excuse me.
They will not host unless they're like high enough ranked.
Mm.
And they're like one of the favorites in the American. I kind of like Memphis.
Mm. Yep.
I think Memphis is, from what I've read, they're returning a lot of guys. I think the American or the AAC is weaker this year.
Yeah.
I definitely think Memphis could potentially run the table and be top of the AAC this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Last year it was Tulane that was like, the top
Tulane,
dog. I think potentially it's Memphis this year. Tulane also gets to play Kansas State and Oklahoma in back-to-back games.
Yeah, that's not great.
It's a rough start for them.
Gents, let's talk about some of the at-large bids, and I'm going to throw a few names at you that I don't think you'll disagree with, and then we can get into kind of some of the ones that you do disagree with. I believe that the Texas Longhorns will make this college football playoff.
Agreed.
I don't want them to, but I think they will. I believe that the Alabama Crimson Tide will make the college football playoff.
And I will say now, as long as we make the college football playoff, I will be happy with how this season goes.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Really like my goal. Yeah. That's all I want to see them do.
I believe the Oregon Ducks will make the college football playoff after losing to Ohio State, probably in the Big Ten Championship. And then all of the rest of these I could see you disagreeing with, to be totally honest. So, I mean...
Go on out, Connor. Let's chat.
I tried to disperse these as much as possible in terms of conferences because I do think people are not giving the committee enough credit. I do think that the committee will not be so strung up in like individual conferences, and I do think that they'll try to spread it out a little more. I don't think that they're going to be super strict with that. Obviously, they have a boner for the SEC. Everyone knows they have a boner for the SEC, which makes sense. It's the best league. Yeah, no, I'm not denying that. But I do think, like I said earlier about my Oklahoma State prediction, I do think that the Utah Utes, that Big 12 championship, might be their only loss. So I think I'm going with the Utah Utes to make the college football playoff.
Cam Rising is going to play this year, right? It's not going to be another weird year where like Cam Rising is randomly just not playing for an entire year. Okay.
He's healthy and he should be playing for the entire year. So I believe that the Utah Utes are going to be in the college football playoff. Because I think that them and the Cowboys kind of run the table in the Big 12. And I think that they end up there.
We've had two SEC, two Big 10, two Big 12. We're on agreement that only one ACC team is going to make it, right?
More than likely.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
The only team I could see is like a Miami or a Clemson potentially, but
yeah. Well, yeah, Miami is my ACC chance,
Miami,
but other than that, I don't have any ACC teams. So here's one that's kind of interesting. We haven't talked about them a lot. Actually, I don't know if we talked about them at all. Out of the Big 10. I'm going with the Michigan Wolverines at one of those bottom spots.
I don't think they're.
I think you're wrong.
I really don't think they're going to make it. I
think appreciate your input. Think you're incorrect.
They lost a lot. I think people underestimate how much Jim Harbaugh brought to that team.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
100%.
that like Michigan was built in the image of Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is how they
Yeah.
were built, and I think they're losing that identity.
Lost
They
JJ,
like,
lost
the
your
whole-
running back. Yeah.
Lost the whole senior class that had been there for a while and
Yeah.
came back to win a national championship, which they did.
Uh-huh.
But you lost a lot of that identity, and I just don't see them being good enough this year to make it back to college football playoff.
Yep. I get it. I will say the last few of mine are all hot takes. So that's, and you're not going to agree with on any of them. So another one that I mentioned, I think Notre Dame makes the college football playoff because if I predict them enough, I can't be wrong. So I have to keep predicting Notre Dame in the playoff.
Here's a take for you.
Go ahead.
Whoever wins between Notre Dame and A&M first week makes the playoff.
Ooh, I don't hate that take. Well,
I
Notre
think
Dame
it's a very good litmus test.
has a baby soft schedule. Like it's
Of
just
course
if they beat A&M, it's
But-
like how
But
do you
the
not?
best thing about the playoff setup is that Notre Dame can never have a first round bye until they join a conference, which is excellent. That's how it should be. Join
Yeah.
a fucking conference.
Good point. That's a good point.
I agree.
And then my last take here, out of the SEC, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Correct.
They're a year away. I think Tennessee's gonna be really good next year. I think they're a year away.
I think you're wrong. I just think you're wrong. Their
Here's-
biggest games, they have one against Georgia,
Suck it.
correct? They have one against Georgia,
Yeah.
I believe, which they lose. I think they just lose that game, and they have one more, and I can't remember if it's against Bama or somebody else, but I
play
can't
us.
remember who it's against.
They play us
Yeah, so it's
in
against Bama.
Tuscaloosa.
No, it's in Knoxville.
Excuse me, in Knoxville. They also go
Spooky.
to Norman.
I,
They also go to Norman.
oh, use ass. They beat Bama. They beat
And
Bama. in
they
Tuscaloosa.
play NC State.
Easy dub. I think
have
Tennessee
an SEC
makes it.
team for you that's a little bit under the radar. Because I think a lot of people
I
are talking
think-
about Ole Miss, and I think Ole Miss is going to.
Yeah,
I
Ole
don't.
Miss
I don't
is
think.
ass.
I don't think Ole Miss makes it.
I don't either.
Shocker. Breaking
I
news.
can't believe they're ranked 6 right now. I think that's blasphemous.
God, they have to fade us. We
Him and Notre Dame. Like, how is that?
How about the Missouri Tigers?
Correct. That is the correct pick.
Nope.
They
Nope.
are going to be
Nope.
sneakily good this year. That offense
Right.
is going to put up some points.
They're ranked 10.
Returning a quarterback,
Sneakily good
best
this year.
What do you
receiver.
mean sneakily good. They're top
Luther-
10
dude,
team.
Luther Burden is him. Luther Burden is that dude. He
I
is
am not-
so good.
Mizzou's a good team. Mizzou is not to the caliber of Georgia and Texas and Bama. Like it's just not
Yeah,
happening.
they're the fourth SEC team in. I don't
You,
think any
you
other SEC
just
teams make it.
named 3 of like the 4 best teams in the
Teams, yeah.
country.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
4
they're not
SEC
on that
teams make it. The 3
They're
that we know are
bums.
going to make it, and Mizzou. I don't think Ole Miss makes it. I don't really think A&M
agree.
makes it. I don't think Tennessee
Agree.
makes it.
I
Disagree.
don't think LSU makes it. I
Agree.
don't think
LSU
OU
makes it.
OU doesn't make it.
No, God, they're
The
bums.
4th
They're
SEC
ass.
team, then there's going to be 4, will be the Missouri Tigers.
All right. Well, I'm an SEC team too, so it kind of. I mean, it's just it kind of depends on where
And-
it goes.
So that's 4 SEC teams. So we're I guess we're taking the under. on
Yeah,
that.
we should
Yeah,
take
we
it.
are
I
taking the
think
under.
I think we should take the under. do.
I agree. I
Yeah,
think that the
Oregon-
committee will disperse it a little more.
Oregon, Ohio State for sure.
Yeah.
6, right?
Mhm.
Then we have ACC champ, whoever doesn't matter.
Yep.
Big 12.
7. You got the Big 12 champ, and I guess we're saying potentially one other Big 12 team might
maybe
sneak
the
in
runner-
at the
I think
end.
one other sneaks in. Yeah,
Runner up.
I think
yeah.
if Utah doesn't win the Big 12, I do think they'll get in.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
they'll lose a lot of games.
Correct.
So we're at 9, and we each had a group of 5.
Yeah.
Memphis, or whatever the fuck you said, I'm forgetting. We're at
Boise
10.
State.
Yep.
Boise State. So we're at 10. Where does the next one come from? I think, and I'm going to speak here.
Big 10.
You know that the College Football Committee wants to put Notre Dame in. If Notre Dame can lose less than two games or less,
That's
Notre
what I'm
Dame's
saying.
in.
Yes.
Here's
That's what I'm
here's a take
saying.
for you too. The college football playoff is designed for one specific team from the Big Ten. It's a team they're always almost there, but they're never quite there.
Penn
But
State.
I imagine that if you went back and looked at the rankings for the last 10 years, that this team would have been in the playoff more times than they wouldn't have been. Like this sets up for Penn State.
Yep.
Penn
It
State
sets
I
up
is
for them
agree.
to make the playoff. To
Penn
sneak
State
in
is-
at like 9 or 10.
perennially ranked 8th. I've
Correct.
never seen Penn State not
Exactly.
be ranked 8th.
Penn
Well,
State has a
after
2-game
the dark
season
days,
every year.
Yo,
Yeah.
yeah, like 100%.
Penn State has a
Yeah.
2-game season every year. It's really quite that simple.
I think Penn State will make the playoff.
I don't think that's a
I
bad
think-
take.
I think
Yeah.
they're going to get dog walked in the first round
Oh, yeah.
by whoever they play, but I think they'll make the playoff.
Oklahoma State, Penn State playoff matchup. That could be kind of a sicko game.
It'd be crazy. I do also want to just circle the game on folks' calendar. Like everyone's talking about Oregon. You know, they're going to come in the Big Ten, walk a lot of folks. They play Ohio State at home. They go to Michigan. But I think a game people are overlooking is going to Purdue in October for an already scheduled night game.
The spoiler makers.
Spoiler
maker alert.
makers.
That's a
First
spoiler
time
maker
coming
alert.
to Big Ten. Circle that shit right there.
Spoiler
Yeah,
maker alert.
I like that. Yeah, that is a spoiler maker. That is.
They don't know
spooky.
about the
That's
voodoo
real
out there. Let's
spooky.
laugh, but yeah, they haven't learned about that yet.
Brother, it's Friday in October at 8 p.m. That's the
disgusting.
grossest fucking game you can be as an
Can we have a quick impromptu segment of the spookiest games to play, like that shouldn't be? So, for example, I'll give you one. A Friday, like a Friday day game in Lubbock, Texas, against Texas Tech. The worst thing you can ever.
What about playing in Ames, Iowa, when you're ranked in the top
I don't want to
five?
talk. I don't want to talk about it. I hate you.
I'm just saying.
No, yeah, anything at Purdue, anything at Lubbock
night game
on a
at
Friday.
Purdue. Is
Yeah.
gross.
Lubbock on a Friday.
Playing in October in Knoxville, also very gross.
I was gonna say back RIP Pac-12, but playing in Corvallis against Oregon State for a Friday night game was always terrifying. That tripped up so many USC teams and I think Oregon teams as well at times.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to travel to Hawaii, like you're always not super there. You know what I mean? You got to go all the way out there. I mean, it's
a lot of time Hawaii
kinda...
pulled off an upset though. They're not ever gonna do that.
They're not great. No, you're right.
Um,
Anything on that map we can see, Rob? Anything we can think of on the map on the screen, Ryan?
I'm thinking some of those like northern games, like maybe going like in the dead of fucking winter to like Wisconsin or Minnesota.
Yeah,
it's just not fun either.
So what SEC teams are like not always great, but it's kind of sometimes playing in Columbia, South Carolina can get a little dicey.
Ooh,
You got
that's
a
a
noon
good one.
kickoff on a Saturday.
That's a good one.
I mean, we're also forgetting just Death Valley going down.
Yeah, but like that's normal. Yeah,
they're just good.
Like,
is the
yeah,
thing.
they're just good. So, gentlemen, do we think that Nebraska's any good this year?
Next
So
question.
they were my other team up there who like we're gonna keep saying that Nebraska's gonna be back this year and they're not gonna be back.
What about?
I can't say that they're going to be good because you know who the head coach is. We don't say his name around here, but he's there.
He must not
I don't
be
like
named.
him. So,
what about like Rutgers? How do we feel about Rutgers this
I
year?
think Rutgers is going to be sneaky good.
Sneaky.
I actually do. Mhm.
There's so many teams in the fucking Big Ten.
It's crazy.
It's like scrolling. Same thing with the ACC.
The new updated commercial goes hard though. They like updated the map
see that.
commercial.
The map commercial is great. It's
Yes, it
Big
is.
Ten map commercial is better than any SEC.
Yep.
Should say that right now.
All right, gentlemen. I think that's it. Thank you for joining me tonight. Who would like to sign us out?
I can do it. For myself, Ryan and Connor, thank you for listening. I'm excited for another football season with everyone. Keep tuning in to see who to fade every week.
All of us.
As you go about this football season, always remember to please gamble responsibly. Thank you.